Hi, so today I'm going to go over some JavaScript array methods. So these are methods that we can use with instances of arrays. So as you can see here, there are very many we can use. These are all the methods here. So I'm going to break them up into 3 groups. And so in this video, I'm going to go over these mutator methods. So these are methods that will modify the array, as you can see here. So whenever these methods are used, they're going to actually modify the original array. So I have this directory which has all these examples. So these are the mutator ones, and the others will come later. So I'm going to have all these examples. We're going to be using this array to test everything with. So everything is going to be on my GitHub, so links will be below. So let's get started. So the first method we're going to cover is pop. And what this does is it removes the last element from any array. So for example, we've got this wrappers array, which has a few wrappers. And at the moment, I'm just console logging all of that. But what we can do is right here, we can call wrappers.pop. And as you can see here, Eminem is the last one. But if I refresh now, it's gone. And what it does is it actually returns the element that was removed. So if I did something like const last wrapper, so then I copy this, save, and then I refresh, and then you can see that that's what has been returned. So next we have shift, and this is kind of the opposite to pop. So whereas pop removes the last element from the array, shift removes the first element from the array. So if we go to shift, as you can see, first we're just console logging everything. So here we can just add wrappers.shift. If we refresh, you can see that Kanye was removed. And then similarly again, we can go const first wrapper, and then we can just log that as well. And then you can see that that's what's being logged. So the next method is push, and this is something that you probably have used before. And what it does is that it adds elements to the end of an array. So we have the wrappers array again, and let's say we want to add more. So we can just do wrappers.push and I don't know, Andre 3000. So when we're console logging wrappers now, we can see that it's been added. And the value that returns is the length of the new array. So what we can do is length, and if you refresh, you can now see that we've got 6 in the new array. And besides just adding a single value, we can add more values. So we can also add nas or big, whoops, and it'll do the same thing. But what we can also do is combine it with the apply method and actually push a new array into that array. So let's just give an example. Let's say some Nigerian rappers. Just put Wizkid, Davido, yeah. So what we can do here is do array.prototype.push.apply. So to wrappers, we now want to add the Nigerian rappers. So now if we console.log wrappers, we're going to get an array that includes this other Nigerian rappers array. So let's refresh, and here we go. So next we have onShift, and how shift is the opposite to pop. OnShift is kind of like the opposite to push. So I'm just going to copy what I have here and go to onShift. And what it does is instead of pushing the new elements to the end of the array, it's going to push it to the beginning. So I'm just going to change push to onShift here. Push, and we're gonna see the difference. So on shift.html, So what you can see now is that the new values, so this to the first ones, and then including this to the second one, are being added to the start of the array instead of the end. So the reverse method is pretty simple, and what it does is just it reverses the positions of elements in the array. So here we have obviously the wrappers array, and all we can do is call wrappers.reverse. So if I go to reverse.html, now we can just see that we've got the same array but just listed in the reverse order. And the value that this returns is just the reversed array. So we could easily or simply just do the same thing and say reversed wrappers equals to wrappers.reverse, and then go, and we're just going to get the same thing. So next we have the sort method, and what that does is it sorts the elements within the array according to some function that we might pass to it. First we can have a default sort. So for example, if I do wrappers.sort, it will by default sort it according to the Unicode code points. So this will be alphabetically. So if we go to sort, we can see that it's being sorted alphabetically. But what could make it actually useful is for us to sort it according to some whatever parameter that we want to. So we can have a function. So what I'm going to do is rewrite this as an object so I can have multiple parameters for each wrapper. So I'm just going to have their name, Kanye West, and then a rating that I want to pass to them. So out of 100, I'm just gonna copy. So I'm just gonna give them a rating according to how good they are. So Drake and Jay-Z, 90 maybe, 70. And Eminem is obviously the best. We're not here to argue about that, but okay. So now we have this new array, and what we want to do is sort it according to rating. So what we do is call favWrappers.sort, and then we pass it a function with 2 parameters. So the way this works is that the function goes through each of these and then it compares 2 pairs together. So for example, this can be A and this will be B, and as it moves down, this will now be A and this will now be B. So what it does in this function is what we have to do is tell them whether we want to keep A in this position or switch it with B. And the way we do that is if we want A to be as a lower index, so if we want to keep it in this position and make it technically higher in the position, so closer to 0, we return a negative number. Whereas if we want to say this should be here and before it, we return a positive number. And if we want everything to stay the same, we return 0. So it can be a bit complicated to get your head around, but let's just show how. So what I want to say is this A.rating is greater than B.rating. So we want A to be first. So seeing as we're ordering it by rating, we want A to be higher. So what we're going to do is return -1. So A should be first. But if B.rating is greater than A.rating, then we want to return a positive number. So I'm going to say 1. So what we're saying is B should be first. And then we should just return 0 if everything should be the same. So let's try this. Console.log favWrappers. Refresh. So now we can see Eminem is first because he's obviously the best. Then we've got Kanye, Jay-Z, Drake, and Designer. So that's kind of the way it works. We can just sort according to whatever parameters that we actually want to sort instead of just simple alphabetical or like numerical. So next we have the splice method, and what this does is it adds and or removes elements from an array. So the method takes 3 arguments. So first of all, the index at which we want to start cutting, so start index, then the number of items we want to actually remove from the array, so number to delete, and then finally what we want to replace those elements with, so items to replace with. Okay, so let's say we want to replace Jay-Z with something. So what we can do is wrappers.splice, the index at which we want to start, so Jay-Z, which is the second, so 2, and we only want to replace 1 item, so we're going to put 1, and then what we want to replace it with, Andre 3000. So if I refresh now, we can see that that's been replaced. So we may not only want to replace 1 item, we might want to do more. So let's say we want to replace Jay-Z and designer. So we can say we want to replace 2, and then let's add WizKid, and then we've replaced that. And this method is going to return the items that were deleted. So we can say const deleted wrappers, and then here, and then we have an array of the ones that were removed. So besides actually replacing elements within the array, we can just also use Splice to insert, and the way we can do that is just by having this number be 0. So this, like I said before, these are the number of items that we want to delete from the array. So what we can do is just have that be 0, and then what it will do is insert all these elements at this index. So let's say refresh again, and here you can see that we've just added these 2 new elements to the array without deleting any of the original elements. Okay, so for the last 2, these are new ES6 methods. So the first one is fill, and what this does is it fills elements within an array with a value that we choose. So it has 3 arguments. First is what we want to fill with, so whatever string or whatever it is that we want to fill with. Then we have the index at which we want to start filling, and then the index at which we want to end filling. So for example, the start and end index are optional. So let's try something. So if you want to just replace everything in this array with Eminem, because he's the best, if we refresh, then we can see everything has just been replaced. But let's say we only want to start replacing from Jay-Z. So from 2 here. Okay, and if let's say we only want to replace both Drake and Jay-Z, we say 2, and then we say 4 because the end index is the point at which it stops, so it doesn't actually include that. So if we go here, then we can see, oh right, we did Jay-Z and designer, but same thing basically. And the value that this returns is the new modified array, so it will be essentially the same as wrappers, but we can just say new array, and oops, it'll be the exact same thing. And finally, another new ES6 method is copy within. And what it does is, it's kind of complicated. It copies a sequence of elements within an array to another position within the same array. So, for example, we might want to copy Kanye West to Jay-Z. So we want the new array to be Kanye West, Drake, Kanye West again, designer, Eminem. So the method takes 3 arguments. So first of all, the index that you want to copy to, index to copy to. Then second, where you want to start copying from, so start copy index, and then where you want to end, so end copy index. So for example, like I said, we want to copy Kanye West to Jay-Z. So what we would do is wrappers.copy within and copy to. So we want to copy to Jay-Z, and that's index of 2. And we want to copy from Kanye West, so 0. Let's say copy within. Yeah, so as you can see here, we now have that copied to there. We can also use negative numbers if you want to copy, if we want to start counting from the end. So for example, if we want to say we want to copy from Eminem to Kanye West, wrappers.copy within. So where we want to copy to, we want to copy to Kanye West, which is 0. And where we want to copy from is Eminem, which will be -1. And then you can see. And finally, if we specify copy index, we can do something like, let's say we want to copy Kanye West and Drake to Jay-Z and Designer. So the way we can do that is, so we're copying to Jay-Z, like we said. So we're going to put a 2 is where we're starting from. And then we're starting from Kanye West, and then we're ending at Drake, or we're ending at Drake, so we have to put 2. So if we go back here, what we can see now is that we've copied Kanye West and Drake to what was previously Jay-Z and Designer. I don't really know when you would need to use this, but it's handy to have anyway. So that's it for the Mutator type of JavaScript array methods. Like I said, I'm going to go over future ones in future videos. You can find this repository on my GitHub. I'm going to put links below. But that's it. So thanks for watching. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I recreate this registration form, and it has real-time validation. So as you can